You've probably seen this one floating around online, right? It just pops up on your feed with this super bold promise. It's a DIY hack that claims it can fix a really common skincare issue with two things you almost definitely have in your house right now. So let's get into it.
And there it is. That's the hook. Erase your age spots, those stubborn little marks, in 10 minutes flat. I mean, that sounds amazing, doesn't it? You don't need expensive creams or appointments, just a quick fix that costs next to nothing. And that's exactly why so many people have been pulled in.
But whenever a hack seems that easy and that effective, you really have to stop and ask, is this some hidden skincare secret that the big companies don't want you to know? Or is it actually a recipe for a total disaster? Let's break down the science behind this whole thing.
So what is it that people are actually doing here? Well, the appeal is just how simple it is. It promises this powerful, supposedly natural treatment with ingredients we all have on hand. And that makes you feel like you've just stumbled upon this incredible, empowering secret.
The instructions couldn't be easier. You crush up a couple of aspirin, you mix in some lemon juice to make a paste, slap it on your dark spots, and just hang out for 10 minutes. Seems harmless, right? The problem is, the danger isn't in the steps themselves. It's in a massive chemical misunderstanding at the very heart of the recipe.
Right. This is where it all falls apart. The entire logic behind this hack is built on getting two very different chemicals mixed up. It's all about the difference between what's actually in an aspirin pill versus what's in a professional skincare product.
Okay, so on one side, you've got aspirin. The chemical name for that is acetyl salicylic acid. On the other side, you have the stuff dermatologists actually use for exfoliation, which is salicylic acid, a beta-hydroxy acid, or BHA. Now, they sound super similar, and yeah, aspirin is made from salicylic acid, but that little acetyl part, it changes everything.
So, to turn aspirin back into that exfoliating salicylic acid that you want, you have to chemically break off that acetyl group. In a laboratory, you can do that with some pretty strong acids or bases. And sure, your body has enzymes to do it when you swallow an aspirin, but your skin? Nope. It just doesn't have the biological tools to pull off that kind of chemical reaction on its surface.
And as the beauty chemist Michelle Wong points out, that specific little hydroxy bit is absolutely essential for how BHAs work to exfoliate your skin. Without it, aspirin is simply not a BHA. So what are you really doing? At best, you're getting a tiny bit of anti-inflammatory benefit and maybe a gritty physical scrub. But the other ingredient, well, that's where things get really bad.
The aspirin is only half the problem here. The lemon juice isn't just a binder. It introduces a completely separate and frankly terrifying risk. When you mix certain compounds from plants with sunlight, you create the perfect storm for a serious chemical burn. It's sometimes called a margarita burn.
The official medical term is phytophotodermatitis, and this is a well-known, well-documented skin injury. It's what's known as a phototoxic reaction, which means you're putting a substance on your skin that is basically harmless on its own until it gets hit by light. Then it turns toxic. So here's how it happens. Lemon juice is packed with these compounds called fluorocoumarins. When these things are sitting on your skin and get exposed to UVA rays from the sun, they basically go haywire. The UV light activates them, and they start to actively damage your skin cells, causing a painful, toxic reaction.
And here's the crazy irony of the whole thing. The very treatment you were using to try and get rid of your dark spots can actually cause horrible redness, painful blisters, and even worse, new hyperpigmentation that can last for ages and be much more difficult to treat.
So on the outside, we're talking chemical burns. But believe it or not, the risk doesn't even stop at your skin's surface. Let's just pretend for a second that aspirin was a BHA. If you were using a high-concentration acid peel at home, the risk becomes systemic poisoning.
This number right here is the critical line you do not want to cross. When the level of salicylates in your blood hits 35 milligrams per deciliter, you enter a toxic state called salicylism. And yes, your skin can absolutely absorb these compounds, especially if your skin barrier is already broken or irritated.
The symptoms of this kind of poisoning are just terrifying. It starts out with things like nausea and dizziness, but it can escalate fast to delirium, coma, and yes, in severe cases, it can even be fatal. This is not some minor side effect we're talking about. This is a full-blown medical emergency.
And this isn't just theory. Medical reviews have found a ton of real-world cases. In 2003, for example, 2 people actually died from salicylate poisoning just from applying an ointment to their skin. The danger of using high-concentration acids without a doctor watching over you is very, very real.
And for exactly this reason, the FDA has put out very clear warnings about this. They explicitly say that people should not be using these kinds of products without a trained professional, precisely because the risk of serious injuries, like chemical burns and permanent scars, is just too high.
Okay, so we've established pretty clearly that this DIY hack is a truly awful idea. But that doesn't mean you're out of luck. So let's talk about what actually works for treating dark spots safely and effectively.
The American Academy of Dermatology recommends a bunch of proven treatments. Things like laser therapy, where focused light energy can precisely target and shatter the pigment that causes the spot. Or a professional chemical peel, which uses a very carefully formulated solution to safely take off the outer layers of skin. The keyword for all of these is professional. They're precise, controlled, and done by an expert.
And honestly, after any treatment, or even better, to prevent the spots from showing up in the first place, the single most important thing you can do is sun protection. Using a broad-spectrum sunscreen, SPF 30 or higher every single day is completely non-negotiable.
So really, it all boils down to this. On one hand, you have this dangerous DIY gamble that promises a quick fix, but could give you chemical burns, scars, or worse. And on the other hand, you have scientifically proven professional treatments that deliver real, safe results. When we're talking about the health of your body's largest organ, why would you ever take that gamble?